Well, guys, it has been what I would say is a heartbreaking week in true crime. Not only do we have the um, the trial of Lindsay Clancy going on, where we are learning. I mean, to me, it's just absolutely heartbreaking. One, that a mother would do that to her children, but two, that there were so many signs leading up to it, so many different medications changing, just so much going on. I honestly don't even know why the prosecution has brought a case on that one. But we also learned this week about the fact that Celeste Rivas Hernandez's family signed off on her traveling internationally when she was like 13 years old, 14 years old, to go with David Anthony Burke, DeForvita. We have Nolan Wells' family still seeking some, deeper information in the case, trying to figure out. They suspect that there was foul play here, but trying to figure that out. I think that they're drumming up a little bit of tension down there that is unnecessary. They haven't been super graceful or tactful about it, but they are following their hearts, and they are heartbroken that their son is gone, and that is heartbreaking. And then, of course, yesterday we talked about the case of Malik Chandler, who shot but did not kill, who we're using the word redacted. It starts with a letter R, but the redactist of his 11-year-old daughter. So a lot going on in true crime this week, and we are going to wrap up the week like we have been doing traditionally now all month, or for about the last month, and that is by being joined by Elizabeth Jones from Hillbilly Crime. Just have a, a good hang for the end of the week. I hope you will stick with me. Javi, roll. This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to another true crime conversation with me, Gavin Fish. So grateful you're here. So thankful that you would spend your time either on the live stream or as part of the Rewatch crew here on YouTube or on Spotify Premium Video, or listening to the podcast throughout the fruited plain, nay, throughout this beautiful blue planet of ours, on whatever podcast platform you are on. Let's not bury the lead anymore. Join me in welcoming my friend and yours, Elizabeth Jones. Elizabeth,
Hello, Gavin.
you are here.
I am here.
You
Thanks
continue to
for
be the
having.
hardest working woman in true crime. Is that what's happening over there?
Well, my cats jumped up on my desk the other night right before my show and knocked my light off and broke it. So now I've got this wonderful little strobe light going.
Oh, you've got that's what the dramatic light is.
Best I got right now.
That works. That works. Those cats, man, they're trouble. They're trouble. And
So,
also, yeah, I told you I'm a cat person now. For the first time in my life, we have the Haynes sisters, and they are delightful. As they hang out with us, how long have we had them now? About, I think it was February. Was it earlier than, I can't remember. We haven't had them very long, right? And I think it's longer than, it doesn't matter. It's less than a year that we've had these cats. They came home as little kittens, and they just didn't trust us all that much, right? They didn't know us. Plus, they were young and everything. These days, man, my cats are all like sprawled out, rub my tummy, and I love it. I'm in for it.
mine walk across my desk and just walk up to something and be like, and just
Flip.
walk it up. And then walk up, walk a little bit more, and and they just knock everything off every counter, table. It doesn't matter.
Okay, so we have been dog people. I've been a dog person my whole life. This is the first time I've ever had cats, and everybody online is like, "I thought this was true crime. You guys are talking about it. Just be patient, everybody. Okay." Um, okay, I have an addiction, and my addiction is Blistex.
Ah,
I have been a lip glop person since I was a kid, right? And Kimberly and I, we have end tables next to the bed. My wife works at a furniture store. It's the first time we've ever had furniture in our, like, actual furniture. So we bought these end tables, and traditionally I put my Blistex or my Carmex or my chapstick or my Burt's Bees. I'm no respecter of lip glop, whatever it is. I put
wow.
it on my end table at the end of the night. And then, like, I would get up and no lip glop to be found. And so I would, like, go
Hmm.
buy another 3-pack, right? And then a few days later, I can't find any of my lip glop. So I go buy another 3-pack, right? Okay, so the other thing about me is that I have this back scratcher that my friend Julene got me in 1997. I've had it. I've had my back scratcher next to my bed. I've known my back scratcher longer than I've known my wife, right? I've
Yeah.
got, right? And so it's always there. And I was looking because our end tables only have like maybe 3/4 of an inch of gap underneath it.
Uh,
But I was like, is it possible that Betty and Judy Haynes are knocking those off, and then maybe they get down and they knock them underneath the end table? So I grab my back scratcher and I reach under there and I pull out like 20 tubes of lip glop. Like that's what's happening every night. So
yeah.
so now what I'm doing is I'm like, I don't want to take away their joy, right? They're obviously having fun doing it. So I will put one on my end table at night and put one up, like on my dresser or whatever. So I know that I will have one. But
Oh,
I've easily got 20 tubes of lip glop just around the house now.
that's a great story.
It's never that way with dogs, man.
Yeah, that's a great story. Dogs, I never could find my shoes. My dog would chew my it wouldn't matter. Brand new pair of shoes, toe would be gone out of them the next day.
Oh,
But they finally grew out of that, so I don't lose my shoes anymore. But now the cats just they tear my house down. They'll get the zoomies,
yeah.
cat zoomies too,
Yeah.
and they just climb the walls in here.
Yeah, well, they're criminals. That's what they are. Mine are. Mine are
Yeah,
criminals, and it works out well because I like talking about criminals. So
yeah.
here we go. What have you been talking about on your channel this week?
Well, the Siders case has just kind of taken over social media pretty much. But so we've talked a lot about that case, and then and the little Briella Holmes case. Did you see
Oh,
that little girl in
you told me
Florida
about it, but no,
from the play
describe
kitchen?
it.
So her and her brother, she was 3 years old. They look very close in age, so the brother would have to be about 4. They go to a babysitter, and the babysitter leaves. She had to go somewhere, and so she leaves and
Oh,
leaves these babies in the care of her husband. Who's
yes.
now? Here's my thing.
This was in Florida, right?
Yep. And the class of people in this case, I think, is a really, really big determining factor to no charges being filed because they're all wealthy. I did a kind of researched her family. Well, I went digging, and what
Yeah.
I found in my digging was that her dad is one of 3 brothers, and they seem to be all 3 of them are very well educated, and they are world travelers. They're very wealthy. They seem compared to like how I live, they're very wealthy. I mean, they might not be very wealthy compared to the rest of the world's standards, but I'd say
Oh
they're,
no, if you are a traveler, you're in the top 1%. Period.
yes,
I don't care
they,
what anybody says. If you have ever been to Hawaii and you don't live there, you're in the top 1%.
yeah. So they are. They are. But so the babysitter leaves. the husband's supposed to be watching them, and says in the reports that he periodically went down and brought them snacks and drinks and checked on them. Well, that tells you that they were down there by themselves for a very, a
Yeah,
longer
he's
period.
upstairs doom scrolling or watching a game or something like that.
Yeah. And so he goes downstairs on one of his checks and finds
Oh,
her. This play kitchen had like a sink bowl cut, a spot cut out in the top of it, and the bowl was actually missing. So there was just this hole, this great big hole cut out in the top, like where a burner, a stove burner would be,
like
say,
a little play. Yeah.
in, in the placement of the top, like where a big eye burner would be. And the brother told what happened, and he sat he watched it. He watched
Oh,
all this happen. But he said that some toys had fallen down in the top of that big hole. Well, Gavin, all she had to do was open the cabinet doors on the.
oh.
I mean,
But
that's all she had
she's
to do.
3.
She's 3. So she didn't know that. And so her little brain has told her to go in from the top to get those toys out instead
Yeah.
of backing up and opening the doors. And what I am assuming, I'm putting this together myself, is she's went to go in and she's fell down or she couldn't do it, and her head has gotten caught underneath, and her body weight then has fallen down this way, and she wasn't big enough or strong enough to be able to lift her body to pull her head out. And so the way that she had been, and I'm just assuming this, my mind is just kind of putting this together, because that's what the husband said. He came down, found her trapped, and he freed her and started
Like
CPR and stuff.
CPR.
But how long had she already been in that position? Who knows? And it just is heartbreaking. Why are there no charges filed? Me and you
Well,
both have covered.
who are the babysitters?
Don't know that either.
Because that is this the, I don't know, grandparents that were there?
No, no, I
Or-
think it was people, and it wasn't at their home. This was at the babysitter's home. So they had
Oh,
dropped the kids off at this babysitter. I got the impression, it was just my impression, that these were like regular babysitters for them.
right.
I think that this was just like a one-time deal, but I could be wrong. I don't know that for sure.
Well, it does seem like if a babysitter is comfortable leaving children in the care of her husband, that does seem like it's a standing
Hmm.
arrangement.
Hmm.
I read that and it just broke my heart because I mean,
Why no charges? They said that it was an accident. That's what the medical examiner has declared it. But we have covered cases all over the country where, parents or the caregiver was not watching the children. There was another couple there in Florida where they weren't watching a 1 and a 3-year-old, and but it was summertime, and they turned a space heater on in their bedroom, and that bedroom became so hot that it killed the 1-year-old, and the 3-year-old barely survived. And the man got 30 years and the mom got 25 years. And the man wasn't the baby's daddy. He didn't have nothing to do with them kids. He just happened to be in the house. But he's an adult. He got
yeah.
time to.
It makes me wonder if, like, I mean, it's a good question. So let's play devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
Like, if police went into that house, say in the second example, and there's drug paraphernalia there, or they are known to the police or something like that, they probably would charge that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know that, like, going into a babysitter's house, like if I was going into, if I'm a cop and I go into a wealthy powerful, maybe politically connected local family's house, yeah, I'm walking on eggshells, but I don't know about a babysitter's house. I'm not sure.
Right.
Either way, there does seem to be a charge difference between classes. That is true.
That's all I think. It's just the class system is different. And I think that the law enforcement and prosecutors and stuff see it differently when they're dealing with a different class of people.
Yeah. Well, speaking of a different class of people, check this out. This guy, Malik Chandler, okay? He has a rap sheet as long as my arm. This is not like there's nobody innocent in this story except an 11-year-old little girl, okay?
Yeah. Mm.
Um, the mother of this 11-year-old girl discovers evidence that this little girl has been essayed by a grown man. And she starts talking to police about it, and police are getting ready to file charges, right? They're investigating it. Meantime, dad finds out about it. And I don't know what the relationship is between mom and dad, but dad finds out about it. And so dad takes, and this is Malik Chandler, he takes the 11-year-old's phone, and on her TikTok account, again, why does 11-year-old have a TikTok account? I don't know. Or a phone for that matter.
Yeah.
Like, but okay.
Uh,
He takes the 11-year-old's phone and TikTok account and lures this little girl's redactist
mm-hmm.
over there, and he comes because that's who he is. And when he gets there, the dad says he reached into his pockets. I thought he had a pew pew in there, and so I drew mine, shot him twice, and he lived. So Malik Chandler, check
The
this
guy.
out. This is the dad. This is the best part for me. Okay, so this is the dad. This is the redactist here. Okay. What I love about this picture is this dad's like, yeah, I did what I did. I'd do it again. Look at his face. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, take my picture, take my mugshot. I'm happy. Yeah,
I'm
and
happy to be here.
and I'll spend the rest of my life in prison and be completely satisfied. My only regret is he didn't die. Right. This guy, on the other hand, is like, nobody talk to me. Nobody look at me. Right. So anyway, police have filed multiple charges against this dude for redacting this 11-year-old, and then this guy has been also charged with like assault, and he was a convicted felon, and so he didn't have his constitutional right to carry a pew pew was taken away from him, and yet he had one. So there were charges about that. But I had a whole conversation last night about the idea of this vigilante justice thing, right? Like that dude did exactly what all of us want to do.
All he's got to do is go to trial. Don't you think?
Yeah, take it all the way to trial, see what a jury does.
Do not accept that plea bargain.
Oh, you are so smart, Elizabeth, because I I found a video from the New York Post that you haven't seen it. I didn't show it to you, right? Like, okay, and it's this lawyer who's a former prosecutor. He's a defense attorney now, and he's like, if I were a prosecutor, I would really try to make a deal with this guy. I would not want it in front of a jury because a jury does not want to convict somebody for protecting their child from a redactist. So I would offer everything I can. Like, and his point was, you can't take the law into your hands. But also, I don't think this guy should go to prison. So maybe give him a suspended sentence or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I were the dude, I'd take it all the way to a jury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People have got to understand that even if you pull that trigger in self defense, you're going to jail. You're going to jail. They will arrest you, and you might have to sit there in that jail cell until you're found not guilty in
Yeah.
a court of law, and that can sometimes be years,
Yeah.
and even then, there's no guarantee. You can go to court, go to trial, and they can find you guilty. It just depends on the circumstances. So people have got to be very, very, very prepared for that. If you carry, you need to know what's going to happen and be prepared for the consequences that even of protecting your own life, you're
Yeah.
going to go to jail.
Yeah, you will. And I think anybody who carries, there are two other things. They need to practice. You can't just get your CCW and then call it good. No, you have to train, man. You have to be a member of a club. You need to put rounds through that thing all the time on the regular, not only for, and then you need to do safety stuff. And you need to, and then the second part of it is you got to have a lawyer on retainer.
Yeah.
You just
Oh, yeah.
gotta.
Yeah. And there ain't no, there's no, um, like you said, the training is so important. Just getting your license and carrying it, I think that there needs to be more like annual training, more certification, not less, but that's just me. I think there's a whole bunch. I'm
Yeah.
a full believer in the Second Amendment. I've got one myself, but I'm scared to death to even carry mine.
Yeah.
Like, I'm terrified of it. I'm afraid that the police will try and charge me somehow with
Well, the other thing is, what
just
was the name of what's the name of that case that you told me about? Is his name Doug
Doug Harless.
Doug
And he's
Harless, where police knock on his door. They're doing a SWAT style raid at the wrong freaking house. They're not even at the right house, and he gets up like I'm telling you.
like
Now,
every
now
other.
he's not to blame, but there's something to learn here too, right? You hear
Mhm.
pounding and police. A trained person does not pick up a weapon.
I
A
don't think
trained
he
person
heard.
doesn't do that.
I don't think he heard police. I think he just heard a bunch of yelling, and I think he heard a bunch of pounding because his bedroom was on the other side of the trailer. If you look, have you looked at any of those
Yeah,
photos in the
he was
evidence?
like it's like a double wide trailer. The entrance is it's on the long side, but closest to the short side, right? And then his bedroom is back in the back corner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the way that that place was set up, and they weren't screaming loud. They were. Now I know that they did holler, but you couldn't necessarily tell what they were saying. Did he understand that they were saying police? Because I
All
don't
I'm
know.
saying is a trained person, like if you decide to put one in your hand,
Yeah,
then you're deciding that you're okay with bullets lobbing your way. Right? It's like you are saying. In fact, this is something that I argued when I sat on a jury for a double homicide, and when we got into, and I've shared this so many times on the channel, I bet people are just rolling their eyes right now. But when we got into the deliberation room, one, I thought that I must have been sitting in a different trial than half of these bozos, right? Like, did you guys not even pay attention or what? I don't know. But the my main argument was when that 17-year-old gangbanger in Sacramento, California tucked a weapon into his waistband, he was willing to draw it and fire. That's premeditation to me.
mm-hmm.
And it's not the same thing, of course, with Doug Harless, but the same concept applies. Like, if you, in any circumstance, draw or pick up a weapon, that means that you are willing to put lead down range and you understand that lead may be coming your way. And I mean, it's a very dangerous thing to. I think that many people are kind of cavalier about it. Oh, Second Amendment, and I'm pro Second Amendment too, but I am pro training. I'm pro preparing. I'm pro practicing. Right?
Right.
Like, I think way too many people are cavalier about it, and they're like, "Oh, we live in America, Second Amendment, it's my right." Yeah, all of those things are true, but I mean, once you put that iron in your hand, you're telling the world that you're willing to exchange lead.
Yeah. Well, and that's why the police get away with it so much. All they have to say, they're trained from the day that they are hired to say their response has to be, I feared for my life.
Yes. But getting back to Malik Chandler, that's what he's saying, but I don't believe him. Like, he's saying his self-defense. He's saying he reached for something. I thought it was a gun. I was afraid for my safety, for my 11-year-old, for her mom. And I mean, I didn't see anywhere that he actually did have a gun.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It doesn't matter.
that's what his defense is.
Yeah, because that's all he has that the prosecution then would have to prove otherwise, and they
Yeah.
can't. They can't.
They put him on a recognizance bond, by the way. He's a
Oh,
felon, but they put him on a recognizance bond.
that says a whole lot right there.
Yeah. The prosecutor was like, yeah, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, but we are getting ready. Uh, not to change the subject or anything, it just popped in my mind. We are getting ready to start following a very big case that happened here in Letcher County. Now, it's an older case, but the Michael Hogg murder happened in Whitesburg, Kentucky on New Year's Eve night. And it was really kind of like the trial of the century here before Mickey Steins.
Before Judge Kevin Mullins. So how long ago did that happen?
I don't want to say the wrong date, but it's been within the last 10 years, I think.
Okay.
I
Wow.
just don't remember the exact date. I
But
don't have any of my
like
stuff.
two trials of the century in one decade.
Yeah.
What's going on in Whitesburg, man?
I've been at the courthouse, so I've been getting records. I've been
Yeah.
putting in public records requests, and I'm
Isn't that
starting
fun?
to get it. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. So, I was almost late for your show tonight. I sat down. I said, Alan, my phone's ringing in my purse. Get my phone. And he said, it's Gavin. And I said, oh, crap. And it
What
was
time
too
is it? But
So
you've been reportering. You've been journalisming.
I got deposition.
So what? Tell us about the case, Michael Hogg.
Depositions.
Does
Yes,
feel
so
good.
Michael Hogg, he was actually one of the so I don't know if it was his great grandfather or how the family relation is. We're getting ready to start digging into all this stuff, and kind of the way that we do my show, we're crowdsourced. So I don't have to go out and learn all this information to present it to the people or our viewers. We learn it together on the show through the viewers.
Yeah.
People send me tips. People will actually be in the chat while we're going over this stuff. And if I have a question or if I don't know something, I'll ask it. And then somebody in the chat will give us the answer. And
That's
so
so
we
great.
learn. Yeah. I mean, so we learn so much about these cases from the people that are in the actual community.
I
Um,
love that, and I sometimes get criticism on my channel for like, come on, man, haven't you watched the entire thing? Why are you reporting on this if you haven't watched everything? If you don't know everything, like, um, I don't have to. We can talk about it. In
yeah,
fact, it's completely wrong for me to have the wrong point of view or the wrong opinion or the wrong fact for that matter. Like, I don't mind being wrong. Correct me. It's
I'm an
perfectly.
investigator. Like, I'm not a reporter. People got real upset when I first started my journey because they couldn't put me in a box. They
Yeah.
couldn't put me in a box and call me something. Whatever I was doing just wasn't what they were used to.
Right.
And so they tried to put me in this reporter box and then compare me to WKYT or the Mountain Eagle or.
Right.
you're not doing this right and you're not doing that. Well, that's not what I am. So,
Yeah.
whatever. We're trying to investigate. Like, I've really learned a tremendous amount. Like that Truth Finder, I wouldn't waste another penny on that thing. I had it for 6 months and paid what, $75 a month for it.
Yeah.
And never, not one time did it help me where I couldn't go out and get it myself,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. It's
better.
just a repository of public information anyway. So if
And
the
it's
information
wrong.
is public, yeah, often, all the
Wrong.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was a big waste of money. But I've just learned this has been the most fun. Like, you know, the Bible says that God will, if we believe and we ask God, and we just keep on believing and asking and keeping on the course, He will give us the. He'll answer our prayers in ways that we couldn't even imagine. And I remember whenever I was going to school and getting my education, and, I wanted to work in this and I wanted to work in that and I wanted to do something good and just I wanted to change my life. I'd been such a failure all my life, and everything I ever touched, I failed. And this was just something complete. My education, um, I overachieved. I was
Mm.
it was the first thing in my life that I ever was successful at. And I was very, very, very successful at it. So this, I've been able to kind of take that I was successful at
Yeah.
and move it into this. And like what I have built, like people just don't even know. People cannot truly understand the level of machine and just sophistication around all that I've built is literally unbelievable.
Well, I have to say, because I've been on this journey just a couple years longer than you, right? And I started I didn't know anything. It was just my buddy Rick said, "Hey, how about we do true crime?" Okay. Do you think there are enough cases that we might be able to do a video a week for an entire? You think there are 52 true crime cases out there that I might be able to? I was just completely a dunce about it. But the funnest thing, and I haven't been able to do a lot of this lately because I have a day job that kind of keeps me at my computer. But one of the funnest things is going to a courthouse and digging through documents and making contacts with people and starting to understand, hey, in my state, these are the boundaries. This is what I am. This is what I am guaranteed. They cannot deny me for this.
Yeah,
And then you start to learn, but they will. They will test you. You will have to fight. You will have to struggle. And eventually, it's really funny because in my area now, if I go to a courthouse, I know in their minds they're going, it's Gavin, just give him whatever he wants. I don't want to fight, you know?
yeah,
And I love it. I just
yeah.
absolutely love it.
Well,
It's
we have the best clerk that anybody could ever ask for. At
you
hands
have a
down,
great clerk.
we do. We really do. And this was the first time that I've ever dealt with him with records. I just knew him as a person, just as he was my friend, but
Ah,
before. And so, but I had never really dealt with him when it came to, actually getting records or anything.
yeah.
And it's not just him, it's all the people in his office.
No,
He
there's a woman in his office that anything happens on the Mickey Steins Kevin Mullins case,
Mhm.
all of us media personalities get it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we don't even have to ask for it anymore. She
yeah.
just, here you go. This was filed 2 hours ago.
I need to put myself on that list.
Yeah,
I
let's get you on
haven't
that
done that,
list.
but they're awesome. That we've just really, really got a great, great clerk's office. And now, I was intimidated. I mean, I ain't gonna pretend like I wasn't. I think about it. I've been doing this almost 2 years, and I've never, not the first time, requested a public record
Today
from
was it?
down there. Well, I requested it a week
Sure.
or so ago, but
Yeah.
I got it today. But yeah, because number one, the top reason why was because he was my friend, or at least I considered him my friend. And I did not want to put him in the position to where he had to justify to anybody why he was giving hillbilly crime records, because he
Right.
had to. He would
You're
have
rather
to.
unpopular with a certain crowd out there in Letcher County, right?
And I wouldn't want that to come back on him in a way to where it bothered him. And even if it was an inconvenience, I just didn't want to do that to him.
Yeah.
And so, but the other reason was, I just figured that I would piggyback off of everybody else, like you already was in it. So I knew
Yeah.
if you had something, I could just get it from you. But like with these cases that I've gotten now, there's other stuff that you don't know about that I want to
Yep.
do, so I needed that door open, but I was so intimidated, not by them, not by the people in the office, just by the process.
Yeah. Taking that first step is scary. And actually, people who are watching this right now, uh, everybody has the right to public information, not just journalists. And
Mhm.
do you know what makes somebody a journalist? It's the moment they say, I'm a journalist. That makes them a
Yeah.
journalist. There's no credential. There's no, like, you can go to journalism school. That doesn't make you a journalist. What makes you a journalist is when you declare, like Michael Scott style from The Office, I declare bankruptcy. When you do, I am a journalist. I'm doing journalism now. You're creating a record, right? So everybody has the opportunity to do this,
Yeah.
and in every state it's slightly different. Uh, Pennsylvania is an embarrassment to the nation, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to the public records system. It's an embarrassment. I covered this case, a murder trial in Clarion County. And this is not to disparage the DA, the public defender's office, the judge. I like all of those people.
Yeah.
On a personal level, on a human level, I think they're all terrific. However, they do not like to give out information. And I was covering this murder trial where the man's defense was insanity. And he ultimately did not prevail in his defense. He was convicted. But there was like a dash cam video where the police responded to this house where he had murdered a man. And so there's dash cam of them, apprehending him, and then they
Mhm.
put him in the back of the car. And the state trooper was brilliant. He reaches up to his dash cam and he turns it so that it's facing in. They don't
Yeah.
have in He didn't have an inward facing camera, but he did have a microphone in there. So he turned the camera in while they had this guy in, locked up in the cruiser, handcuffed and everything, and they're all doing their investigation in the house, talking to a witness. It was so sad. But that that video showed that man look like an arch villain out of Batman. He was so bat-esque crazy. Even his face was distended. He looked like the Joker. Like he
Mhm.
was he was he was gone. And so I thought, you know what? That's a public record because they played it publicly in court. It's public. And when you look at the right to know law, it's public. So I say to myself, it would be a service to the people in Clarion County for them to know that the district attorney charged and convicted this man of murder when he was a diagnosed over the course of 20 years schizophrenic, and obviously in a schizophrenic episode. It would be good for the community to see this, right?
Yeah. Public interest.
I
Sure.
go and I fight and I fight and I fight. I fight with the judge. She ultimately goes, you can come in and look at it, but you can't publish it. Judge, it's already been published. Well, if anybody wanted to look at it, they should have been in court. That's how we publish it publicly. I ended up losing.
Really?
Yeah. And
Wow.
and it didn't serve the community at all. All it did was hide what had
Yeah.
happened. And one of the things that really bothered me was in Pennsylvania, as in most places, the the oh, how does it go? The prosecution gets the last say
Mm-hmm.
in the closing statements. And
Mm-hmm.
in the opening statements, the defense gets the last say, right? So, anyway, the prosecution, again, good guy. I like him. And he's there to win. And he thinks that this guy deserves to be prosecuted, right? So, I mean, I take him at his word for that. But he makes a presentation on, you know, all the stuff that has been shown the jury and all the reasons why the insanity defense doesn't work here, and please, find him guilty. The defense gets up and he talks about the documented, like the 20 years of documented schizophrenia, all the witness statements, all of the expert statements, and the
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 history.
yeah, and there was a something about drugs, right? Something about how he was on drugs,
Mm-hmm.
and that could have caused the thing. So then the prosecutor gets up and with the toxicology report goes, it doesn't say on the toxicology report that he was on drugs. And in my mind, my reporter brain was going, that's because they didn't test for those drugs. I know they didn't test for those drugs. So it's not on the toxicology. But he stood up and the defense couldn't say anything about it, right? He stood up and said, it's not on the toxicology report. So he full on misled the jury, by my estimation, in my opinion. Completely
Yeah.
misled the jury. So
Yeah.
when I am able to go in and look at the documents and look at the videos and everything like that, I pull up the toxicology, I look at everything that was tested for, and sure enough, I had my notes. I don't remember the details off the top of my head now, but the notes of what he said, what the defense
Yeah.
said, nowhere did they even test for it. Of course, it's not in toxicology. So he misled the jury for the win.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to show the community
Yeah.
this is what they did. They wouldn't let me.
It's a shame.
Piss me off.
Mm-hmm.
But
I feel.
I guess that's part of it, though. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm very confident that if I'm allowed to have it, our clerk's office in Letcher County will
Yeah.
absolutely give it,
Yeah.
and they'll help you. They'll help you find or whatever.
Yeah.
They'll do everything that they can. So, and you don't always have that, and so
No,
that I'm
you
finding
don't.
that we are very blessed with that,
Did I
and we're
tell you
just
the.
Gavin.
Yeah,
We're
man.
just getting started. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Did I tell you the story of being taken up into the clock tower in an old historic pre Civil War courthouse? Have I told you about this?
Uh-uh.
Okay. There was a murder in Franklin, Pennsylvania back in the 70s, but it
Oh,
was tried in Clearfield, Pennsylvania, which is in a different county because they did this whole thing. My client can't get a fair trial in this county, so they moved it. They did a change of venue, right?
mm,
So I had done all this research on this stuff that had happened in the 70s, and I was hitting a brick wall. Venango County, which is where Franklin is, was not going to help me. And plus, they're saying it's probably not there anyway, Gavin, because it was tried in Clearfield County. So, and yeah, that was at the beginning of my relationship with the clerk in Venango County. Now it's a much more healthy relationship, but they were not giving me anything. So anyway, I go to Clearfield County and I full on just walk into the courthouse and I tell the sheriff there what it was that I was looking to do, and he said, "Oh, you want to talk to the court administration?" Okay. So I go in there and it's this old guy, like maybe 80. Like he's an old guy and he's working part-time, but he's wearing a gold Rolex. And I'm
oh,
like, "You don't seem like a court administrator." He's like, "Oh no, I was the DA here for 40 years. Now I'm retired and now I just work here in the court cuz I love the people here." So he was like an old lawyer, right?
yeah.
And I tell him what I wanted. I was like, I told him the deal with the thing, and I said, I'm looking for any of the evidence that was submitted, that was marked as evidence in the trial. And he goes, Well, I happen to know that up in the tower, that was great. He grabbed her like a calf. That was awesome. Anyway, this guy goes, I happen to know that it's required by law for us to keep every piece of evidence, and the bell tower is where they keep the murder evidence. Come with me. And this building was built before the Civil War. So he leads me to like a bookcase, and I kid you not, Elizabeth, it was almost like a hidden door. It wasn't quite, it just was kind of hidden from view from the, but it looked like we were going to a bookcase and he was going to like pull a book and it was going to open up, but it was like this tiny little door off to the side. You have,
Batman.
it was so cool. Like, so we had to go through like the judge's chambers, up these stairs to a mezzanine. Then there's the bookcase. And then there's this tiny little door that like my fat self had a hard time squeezing through. Right.
I
And we
love
full on start climbing stairs, and every level we go up is opens to a different room that's smaller and smaller and smaller, and we see like piles of just evidence that was submitted for every murder case they had had in Clearfield County since that courthouse was built. I saw a Winchester repeating rifle leaned up against a brick wall with a tag on it from like the late 1800s that had been used to murder somebody, just collecting dust up, up in this courthouse bell tower. And we kept going higher and higher and higher until we found what we wanted to find. And he brought me right to it.
That's
It was
crazy.
awesome. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
more people need to be able to see that stuff.
Yeah. And here's the thing though, everybody can if they want to.
Right.
That's the
If
thing.
you want to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that wasn't a privilege that was given to me. That was like I have a right to see this. Now, he could have been tough on me and said, "Well, you need to put it in writing and in triplicate and here are the rules and we'll see you in 3 months." He could have done that.
I wonder if he'd let you walk through like with a camera walking
I
down.
actually asked him that day and he said no. He said
Oh,
absolutely not.
okay. I got you. It's still though, that'd be neat, wouldn't
But
it?
yeah, I mean, isn't it, I mean, it's fun what you and I
If
are able to
I
do.
if I could find me an old school building or something, Gavin, I'd buy it in a heartbeat. If I could find me an old church or an old schoolhouse
To make it your
or
studio. Yeah.
oh, I want me a Batman cave so bad.
I I do too. I want a bat cave.
I want a hillbilly hideout.
Yeah. No, there was one for sale out in our area that was purchased like right when we first got here, 10 almost 10 years ago. Uh, I went out there because it was for sale and it was by California prices. It was cheap, and we had just come from California. I was like, what could I, this could be, this could be my office. It was an old elementary school, one level, and it
Yeah,
had like the gymnasium and it had the teacher's lounge and it had the kitchen, the whole thing.
I
But it
would.
was snatched up by somebody else.
I swear, I would create such neat things if I had just the space and the property to do it. Like, put just imagine like putting together a big investigation thing. Like you could start kind of like the escape room type deal,
Yeah.
or the where you go in and you like take a baseball bat and tear everything
You,
apart
you
or
can you,
crack.
you can have a Dexter blood spatter room.
Yes, I would love to have a hillbilly crime um, business like that, where each room you have to solve a crime. You know,
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I have all kinds of ideas.
Yeah,
Now,
that'd
if
be
I could do
fun.
that virtually, if I could build that, you know what you're building? If
Yeah, I
you,
haven't told anybody what I'm building yet though. So don't tell
but
anybody.
I'm not, but I mean, if you could help me build my of, of investigation
Build it
thing,
virtually.
a virtual investigation, like a whole, you could bet you could have a house, you could do anything,
That'd be
any
fun. I
any
wonder
kind of
if
investigation.
I wonder if Joseph Scott Morgan would help us with something like that. Because, at CrimeCon, they have an activity for people to come and go into a crime scene and take notes and try to solve what has
Oh,
happened here.
mm-hmm.
Be cool.
They could do it in my app. Come to
Yeah.
Hillbilly Crime app and solve the crime, and
Yeah.
whoever solves the crime gets a prize or whatever.
Yes,
Wouldn't
indeed. That would be
it?
fun. That would be
I,
fun.
yeah,
We should do
I got,
something like that.
I got ideas. I got ideas. I told everybody I'm
It
a
only
genius.
takes money and time. That's all. And it seems like both of those things are pretty finite. Just the way it is. Yeah. Hey, have you been watching the Lindsay Clancy case at all?
Yeah, well, I've been clipping it out. What I can stand of it, like I can't stand this trial. I cannot stand, and I can watch boring trials like nobody's business, but that one,
What is it
man,
about it?
I think that it was preventable. I think it was completely preventable.
Did you see
Those
the list? Did you see the list of all the medication changes?
and that's not supposed and you've got mental health professionals that created that nightmare. They created that
Yeah, I had
by
I had wondered because I know that it's kind of like standard operating procedure to go, well, because every person's biology is different, right? So we'll try this. Oh, that's not working. We'll bump it up. That didn't quite work. I mean, this is happening with my dad with his cancer treatment, right? And I've got a close friend who's an oncologist, and she's like, yeah, that's what we do. That we just have to try different things. But in this case, the big fit, like so, doing all the medication changes and everything over the course of 3 months, I guess that's standard operating procedure. But why wasn't somebody protecting those babies while it was happening?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Did you hear the testimony that they gave where the prosecutor read the notes in the notebook to the nanny? Her thoughts were so controlling. I thought, like, if you have time, cut up whatever it was in 1 inch pieces. I don't know. Just it
Didn't the
just seemed
nanny testify though that she felt like that was normal?
maybe, maybe, but I just know me. I'm not writing that kind of detailed. Like, you're basically telling the nanny how to be a nanny, but I guess maybe I don't.
Yeah. I,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I don't know. There are
Like bounce him up and down 10 times and then sit him down in the
oh,
crib.
was
And
it
then,
that granular? It
yeah,
was oh wow.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
If
I
she was very,
remember a story that my dad has told this a million times when my oldest sister had her first child, which was my grandparent or my parents' first grandchild, right? That my dad tells the story all the time. It's hilarious because he goes, so they bring the baby over and then they instruct me on how to hold a baby.
yeah,
And and he's like, I've done this. I've raised 5 children.
yeah. That was kind of the way that I took her. She was like, if he cries, then do this. But if he doesn't cry, then do this.
Yeah,
And
that
I
is
mean,
a little strange.
yeah, she had it all planned
Like
out.
I've got a I'm sorry. Somebody in my life just had their second child, okay? We visited them, and in their first for their first child, me being a father of five, right? We go over with the first child, and I was instructed on everything to do. But I thought, this is their first child. This is her first experience in all this. I need to express some patience here. I need to take a deep breath. Everything, just do as she says. But it was that kind of granular stuff, right? Just
Yeah.
and then when they had their second child, it was just like, here, take her. Just please take her. And so you'd think with Lindsay Clancy by baby number three, if she were that kind of A-type personality, maybe that's normal on a first child, but on a third.
Well, I got the impression that she was much more obsessive over baby Callan. And I
Mm,
don't know why. I don't know if maybe Callan was more of a fussy baby. All babies are different. I
sure.
feel like she may have just gotten so wrapped up in being their mother. I mean, that's a
And at the
lot of.
same time, being unwell, right?
Yes, at the same time being unwell. You know, you said there a minute ago that you didn't know if it was like standard practice to go change all those medicines. It's not standard practice to do it that fast, that
Mm,
quickly. Every time, now I have been a person that side effects affect me real bad. Like I can take my Suboxone and that everything that I've tried to take before, like they've tried 100 different medicines with me over my lifetime. Antidepressants, mood stabilizers, you name it, but none of it worked. None of it worked. And I would gain 50 pounds in a month,
mm,
on like Wellbutrin or stuff like that. At Zoloft, they put me on it all at some point in time, but I couldn't take it. I could not take the side effects that came with them and function on a level that I needed to function.
yeah.
And you mix in addiction in there too, and she has obviously had something going on. I don't know what it was, but she had some form of mental, whether it
Well,
was
she was expressing it. She recognized that something was wrong, and she was telling everybody that something. She was seeking treatment, and everything.
but this is the problem. We don't even have professionals that know what to do with mental health, that take it seriously. Like everybody talks about, well, we don't know enough about mental health, but with addiction, I've just got so much experience with it on the addiction side of it.
Hmm.
But that's a big thing. Everybody, oh, well, we don't know. But even the experts, we've got all these experts, so-called experts. Well, look what I guarantee you, she was going to the top dogs. She's a
Yeah,
higher class. She was a nurse,
yeah.
for crying out
Labor and
loud.
delivery nurse, ironically, and
Yeah.
that might be the reason that she could recognize those kinds of symptoms. Maybe through her own training and maybe through her own experience, she was recognizing the symptoms that she was experiencing.
But
I
even
this is
she,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, even she didn't know what the treatment was, where she needed to go for the help. She obviously recognized the problem, but nobody knew where to go get the help.
Yeah, I this is a case for me, and you are free to disagree, and everybody who is watching is free to disagree, have your own opinion. But it feels like to me, why is the prosecution bringing this case? Why aren't they just committing
Like,
her and seeking mental health treatment for the next 30 years, probably, right? And why was this even brought?
she needs to be put away in a hospital for the rest of her life.
Yeah, but what I fear is that she will be put away in a prison for the rest of her life. And
Yeah.
while it accomplishes the whole being put away part, it does not address the problem.
Hmm. And this will go on to happen to someone else.
This happened in North Dakota today. Like today, well, let's see, maybe it was yesterday, but a woman in North Dakota, I just, I reported on this not too long ago. Give me just a second. Yeah, here it is. Okay. So, 22-year-old Kaylee Earhart is facing two murder counts after authorities say two of her children died and a third was seriously injured Thursday evening, yesterday. Police said the children were 5 months old, 3 years old, and 1 year old. The 5 month old and 3 year old died. 1 year old required hospital treatment after what investigators described as an attack inside the home. Anyway, she was having like a full mental breakdown, had a gun, it was wrestled away, and then like she at knife point forces her husband and I think her mom or his mom out of the house, and they call 911. She's threatening all this. Anyway, the children's father and grandmother been chased out of the residence, blah blah blah. I think it was I think it was stabby stabby. She murdered two and tried to murder the third and tried to do it to herself too. It's like the
It's
same.
pattern. Hmm.
So
That's all.
sad. So
Well,
sad.
we learned through the opioid crisis about the overprescription of medications. We learned this on the opioid side, that benzo side, because that's where it's at,
Yeah,
where the mental health medications come in. And I can tell you that there is no withdrawal. There is no withdrawal that even compares to a benzodiazepine withdrawal.
really.
Opioid withdrawal is bad, but benzo withdrawal is just on a completely different level.
Hey,
And
let me.
there's no medicine like Suboxone
Oh, there's no
help.
like inhibitor that you can take for benzo.
Not for that, there ain't. Nope.
Hey,
And
hey,
everybody wants to kind of lump all of these mental health problems and issues together, like one size fits all treatment, counseling. I mean, our Medicaid and insurance are being eat up with all this counseling. But the thing is, we ain't got counselors that are worth a damn. And obviously, our doctors are, their competence is going down too.
yeah.
Competence is that's the right word for this situation.
Hey, Diddley Squat says, I'm wondering when the husband stated that she expressed feelings that she wanted to harm her children, that might have been the biggest red flag, preventable. Please tell me what I'm missing. I've not seen the trial every day. I haven't watched the trial every day either.
Yeah.
But yeah, if she had expressed feelings that she wanted to harm herself or the children, even if he was told by, you know, experts or, doctors or whatever that she's no danger, she's already expressed it, man.
If somebody tells you
Thank you, Diddley Squat, by the way.
that they have feelings or thoughts of physically harming yours or theirs or anybody's children, you need to take that into it very seriously. And when they then turn around and say, "Oh, but don't worry, I promise you, I won't never do it."
I'm feeling better now. Yeah,
Okay, that makes me, yeah, feel a lot
yeah,
better.
yeah. Well, it's been a heartbreaking week. The whole revelation, and I think that there are some people on my Facebook page that have kind of taken me to task on this one, but I still haven't changed my opinion. The whole revelation that Celeste Rivas's parents signed off on her
Oh,
going to
yeah.
London with a grown adult man and then
Mm-hmm.
to Texas to visit his family, like
Mm-hmm.
they're affianced or something like that. Come on, like she was
Sold.
14.
She was sold.
She was sold.
That man bought her. And I'll die on that hill. He bought her. Now, there may not be a receipt that says, "Here, I paid you for this," but he bought her. And it
And
happened every single day.
the the fact that, like, okay, let's say I'm going to extend as much grace as I possibly can to her parents. They were
Mm.
naive. There's a language barrier. Whatever excuse that you can come up with, right? I don't buy any of it, by the way, but if I'm just going to extend as much grace as I possibly can, I still land on, but you got a 14-year-old girl and you got a 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old boy uh, who wants to take her to England. The answer is no. How about no? No. The answer is always no. So it, and then I think about like his agent, his
Mhm.
manager,
Yep.
the people who are actually pressing the records. If he, I know he didn't put out vinyl, but whoever was like in there,
Everyone.
they're all adults, and
Ev-
they were around him, and they saw his crowd, and they saw his entourage, and they saw everything, and nobody was like, um, that's a 13-year-old girl.
mhm. They knew what they were doing.
Do 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 do. Hi, police.
They were leading the lamb to the slaughter.
That's exactly
The
right.
same way down here in Letcher County when people were bringing young girls up to the king. You know, they knew
Yeah,
what they were bringing them there for. You can't say, "Oh well, I didn't know." Bull. You
yeah,
could hear what was going on the other side of that door when the door was closed. And then y'all sit in here and laugh and giggle about it,
yeah.
and
It's infuriating. That whole
mm,
thing, and heartbreaking. It's still just,
yeah.
yeah. It's just heartbreaking.
I'm excited though, man. I am so
You,
excited.
hey, if you guys aren't following Elizabeth on Facebook, I know you guys should be following her and subscribe to her over here on YouTube, but she puts out a lot of content on Facebook too. You should go check her out there. Just search Hillbilly Crime, you'll find her.
Yeah,
But
man. And
hopefully you're going to be putting some of this out there.
we're getting ready to start reading these depositions
Yeah,
tonight.
man.
I'm getting
Awesome.
because that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not as much as I've had more, but in digital format. These are I've got the actual paper files. I've had I've got one policeman, a former police officer's personnel file,
Oh yeah.
and I've had it for a long time. I've had it for like a year. But I never would do anything with it. Like I've got all kinds of stuff that I've just held on to that I haven't done anything with because I didn't really know how. Like I was kind of friends with this boy, this former police officer's mommy, but now I see her in town. Ever since I started Hillbilly Crime, I'll see her in town, and that nose will go up in the air, and she just pretends like she don't even see me, like I don't even exist. And a lot of people have done me that way. And then I feel like I've been hanging on to this for a long time just to, try and and protect, well, maybe not protect, but try and save you a little bit of embarrassment. But then people treat me that way, and then they think that I guess owe them some kind of loyalty where I don't put out their dirty laundry. I don't
Well, I
know.
would say don't put out dirty laundry just for the sake of putting out dirty laundry, but if there is a reason that like moves forward a case, makes a difference, then yeah, go
Yeah,
for it.
well, we're talking about criminal cases, I'm not out collecting people's dirtiest secrets or
Yeah,
nothing, but we're talking about this is true crime.
yeah,
We're talking about embezzlement cases or, murder or you name it. We talk about it,
yeah,
you know, but people think some in small areas like this, they think that, they are entitled to be crooks because
yeah,
of their last name.
yeah, yeah. It drives me nuts. Okay, Elizabeth Jones, thanks for joining me. Do you mind hanging out so that we can chat just a little bit after this? I want to talk to you
Sure.
about a couple things. I want to thank you for coming on, Elizabeth. Everybody, check her out. We've linked her down below. And as soon as it's processed, I'll add you as a collaborator so that people can subscribe to the channel easily. Thank you very much for being here. Stick around. Stick around. Do not run away. But for the rest of you, you guys can run away. Thank you very much for spending your week with me. It's been a good week. It's been, like I said, it's been a heartbreaking week, but we'll keep on it because it's important. All this stuff. If you have not, if you're not following me on Facebook, I post a lot over there. Elizabeth's actually taught me how to use Facebook. So check it out over there. You just search my name, you'll find me. Easiest way maybe is just to go to my website, gavinfish.com, and click on the little fishy icon that will take you to the fish tank. And thanks so much for all you do. It was very generous of you today. Diddly Squat, thank you very much for that amazing super chat. You guys taking care of me. You're awesome. Thank you to the mods. I see Robin and Mooney on today. Thank you very much for taking care of the classiest chat on YouTube. And with that, I bid you adieu for the weekend, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.